Hi everyone, I am the Sarcastic Sloth, and welcome to my channel. Today it's an unexpected video. It's 11:30 at night, it's April Fool's Day. I thought with some certainty I wouldn't be doing any kind of video today. Well, how wrong I was. James Charles has just dropped a brand new video called Holding Myself Accountable. With it being April Fool's Day, I thought it was some malarkey on someone's part on the internet. Turns out it was absolutely true, and it's in regards to the instances that he's had recently involving texting minors, basically, if we're going to keep it nice and clean at the beginning of this YouTube video. So obviously this calls for me doing a apology review, as it were, as I've been accustomed to doing. So without further ado, let's crack on. As per usual, everything I'm going to be saying today are my own thoughts and opinions on the topic, and if you do not like that, then ta-ra! My first impressions of the apology video, as it were, was that it was a combination really of David Dobrik's latest apology video and Jeffree Star's Never Doing This Again video. Certainly very reminiscent of both of those videos, in the sense that he mentioned what time it was like 1 in the morning, and he's here just doing this video on his own. I know that he wasn't actually doing that video on his own, because between the 11 and 12 minute mark, I noticed that there was someone falling around in the background. You can hear him actually tripping up on something in the background, so he's not as alone as he'd like you to think. If I were to just sort of give you a sense of the overall tones of the video, those were the two that I would use to describe said tone. He said that it wasn't scripted, that he had notes, but if I'm going to be honest with you, the way that he talked in the video and the fact that it was cut into sections, I have no proof of that. It's just my feeling. Again, like I said, it's just my thought and my feeling on the video. And also, when you consider the gravity of the situation and what it is that he is referring to, I find it kind of hard to believe, because like it's not just James Charles making YouTube videos in his room. It's like he's got a whole business empire, he's got a PR team, he's got a team of lawyers. Everyone's got to sort of check and make sure that he's going to speak about this in the correct way. I maybe would have said release it April 2nd if I was maybe one of his advisors, but in terms of how it reminded me of Jeffree's Never Doing This Again video, he went through this whole spiel of how he originally wanted to do this video where he had all of the receipts, and he was going to, basically from what he was describing, maybe a bit more of a confrontational video in regards to the allegations. Although it's not really allegations if there is proof that he's been doing said allegation, so therefore it becomes an actuality then, really, doesn't it? So anyway, the thing with James Charles that I find this hard to digest, if I'm being honest, because for someone who, since Dramageddon 2, has had these kinds of accusations made, and then it's become over the course of last year and this year, it's just kind of hard for me to digest that he has no comprehension of this. It is kind of weird to me in regards to him being found out to be messaging minors. That's another thing that he kept doing in his video. He kept referring to them as like guys or like just people. He wouldn't like say minors. He wouldn't like make that distinction out loud. Tiptoed around that quite a fair bit. All I can really see is he was so arrogant that he didn't think that this would ever sort of impact on him, or like, it would never come back to bite him in the ass, because maybe there was a little bit of residual I'm untouchable from Dramageddon 2, who knows, or he's an idiot. I also found it interesting how he said he didn't do the research to get the ages. He kept saying doing the research as though, like, I don't know, maybe it's just me like picking up on a semantic, but for me, like, research is like going into something quite deep, not just looking at someone's bio and seeing, oh, 15 or 16 or whatever the age would happen to be, literally right there in black and white. It's just sort of, he made it seem like it was some kind of like much more of an undertaking than it actually would have been. It's not research if it's just a case of looking at the front page bio, for Christ's sake. That's not research, dude. That's just looking. Like, it's, I don't know. Again, that might be a semantic on my part, but whatever. And then he goes on to admit why he thinks he puts himself in these positions all of the time. or at least consistently for over a year now, especially since Dramageddon 2. And he says that it's down to his desperation. Now, while it is true that it can be, not that I know, but this is just going from what I've seen, that it can be quite lonely being a celebrity, I guess, you know, not having people to relate to and things of this nature, I don't see how your desperation would have anything to do with specifically being caught in the situation of texting in explicit ways minors. That doesn't correlate for me. I'm sorry. I mean, you know, I feel like everyone at some point in their lifetime has gone through some level of desperation themselves, where they're like, will I ever find the person that I'm meant to be with for the rest of my life? But again, it's that thing of, I don't really see how desperation and consistently finding yourself in these positions of, especially when it comes to minors, you know, I don't see how they correlate. That doesn't make any sense in my mind. He's a celebrity. He could go to some celebrity dating service where they specifically vet people, make sure they're certainly of age, make sure that they're certainly fitting whatever requirements. It's because he, in my mind, I think he wants the kind of power dynamic. And we've seen this, actually. There's a clip, which I'll play in a second, which shows that he's very aware of power dynamics. And like, you can't use the same excuse that David Dobrik used previously. If we're not going to let him get away with it, then we can't let James get away with it. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. You are in the public eye. If you are a celebrity, if you are any of these things, then there is always going to be an inherent power dynamic, even if you think there isn't. We'll play the clip.
Different states and stuff, and I'm like, hey, like, why don't you come visit? And like, well, I can't afford a plane ticket. Yep. And it's like, okay, well, I can. So like, get on the plane. And like, well, I just don't really feel comfortable with that. But like, I love you and I really want to be together. And I'm like, well, we can't be together because you can't afford a plane ticket. You're probably still in either high school or college, like a senior in high school or in college.
Right.
So like, either you accept the flight and realize that like, this is what I'm bringing to the relationship so we can spend time together if you actually care about me.
Yep.
Or we literally never meet.
So that clip is interesting for a couple of reasons. One, it shows that he is very clearly aware of power dynamics. One thing I just want to bring up as well is someone who's grown up in the public eye the way he has, and he's been around powerful people and see how powerful people interact with those around them and how they use their power. I think it would be naive almost to say that he is not aware of power dynamics, especially when it comes to those younger than himself and how that might influence them. He's been doing it for long enough now, so he's got to know what that is in itself. I don't feel like he's an idiot, even though he may certainly act like it sometimes. But then also as well, there's that Freudian slip, of course, where he says high school as opposed to a senior in high school, which, you know, again, it doesn't really help him much in this particular situation, given what we know and what we've seen in regards to him texting these minors already. There is another clip circulating where he talks about his like preferences in a prospective partner, I guess would be the term. And well, I'll just play the clip and it will speak for itself.
I do understand that with these videos coming to light, it's really starting to, not even starting, it's really looking, period, like I'm actively searching for younger people to be in a relationship with. And I just want to say firsthand that that is absolutely not the case. My hope has always been to be in a relationship with somebody around my age or older that I can relate to and that can make me laugh. And unfortunately, I've not been able to find that person yet. I'm not physically attracted to older guys, which sucks. Like, I would date like the absolute youngest, like 18, 19, that looks a little bit old.
So again, he sort of heavily contradicts himself. It's this video that he's brought out where he's taken accountability. He's actually bent a lot of truths. He's outright lied in places. I saw earlier someone write on Twitter that if James Charles wasn't doing what he's doing, he'd make a bloody good lawyer, because the terminology that he uses, I feel, had a lot of people saying once they watched his video, he was saying a lot of the right things and he was saying them in the right places, and he was almost there. That's another one that I saw quite consistently. He was almost there, but we'll have to just see how it works out from here. This sort of grey area that people are willing to bring out for James Charles in this particular situation, just because he says the right things and he's acting the right way. And if it was just some dude from down the street who'd done exactly the same thing, we wouldn't just be saying, well, it sounds like he's sorry, so how about we just let it go from here. And maybe it's because we've had this whole incident with Dramageddon 2, which he was sure to mention, and there's still like quite a fair bit of sympathy around that. People aren't willing to just completely write this dude off yet, despite him having admitted and there being actual evidence to him actually having inappropriate conversations with minors. Whether or not he got messaged by them is irrelevant. All I'm saying is, I don't think that we would be quite so willing to see the grey area and, you know, oh well, you know, as long as there's an apology, oh, and he doesn't do it again, then oh well, I guess everything's fine, sort of thing. That's all I'm saying. All in all, I don't, you know, what is a good apology? I don't know if there is a good apology. I feel like this wasn't as cut and dry as well. Maybe I saw some people mentioning that it might be. But anyway, let me know what you think. Let me know down in the comments. Do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you disagree? Do you have a different perspective to it? Let me know. If you like the video and you like the channel, then like and subscribe. But otherwise, stay safe out there.